I was about 12 years old at the time. I was moving to a new middle school, which I was pretty happy about. I didn't really know anybody there since the middle school I used to go to was filled with a bunch of people I knew. So it was going to be weird to move to go to a place with nobody I knew. But I thought it'd be more of an adventure. I thought it'd be more of an adventure for me to try to meet the most people I could. I went into the classroom and I got seated by the front desk, or by the front, at the front row of the room. And there was this kid in the back row who kept looking at me from time to time, and I don't know if he was trying to make friend eye contact or weird eye contact. So I there wasn't anybody next to him, or there wasn't anybody's desk wasn't next to the kid. So I decided to go over and talk to him. I went over to him and I said, "Hey." He mumbled, "Hey, how's it going?" back to me. He sat at table 8, which was kind of at the far end of the room. So I didn't really know what to really say about him, or to him, because he was just in a black hoodie. Then he would just sit there, and he gave me this note, and he said, "Open it up when you get home." I said okay, and it was about lunchtime, and I was opening up my lunch box, and there was some sort of pill inside of it. My parents don't normally give me pills, but it said, "Eat this, son." My parents don't normally call me son. Oh well, they must be fooling with me. So I ended up eating the pill with some water to wash it down. Anyways, by now it was recess time, and I was playing basketball with some older kids that I found. The ball went down. The ball ended up getting dropped down to the woodsy area. One of my friends went and got and grabbed it. It was a couple minutes, and then we heard a scream coming from the woods. And the basketball was deflated and it was thrown back up to the basketball court. We went and got the principal, and we told him what happened, and we went down there, and there was a noose around one of the kids on a tree, and they said there was a suicide at the school, and school was canceled for the rest of the day. I was worried about that kid, though, and I completely forgot about the note he gave me. I didn't want to read it since I got an eerie feeling after that whole incident that happened. I'm glad school was canceled and they didn't just continue on with it. Anyway, I went back to school the next day, and they didn't the investigation wasn't really done, but they did take away the body, and they said that part of the school was closed down for a while. Anyways, I started to feel really sick to my stomach. So I was going to the nurse, and she was crying, and I was like, "What's wrong?" And she said there's been another killing at the school. It was about a 6th grader that was killed by the stairway. She was trampled down the stairway by the ramp. And I said, "Well, I'm getting a bit sick. Can I please lay down?" And she said yes. I laid down there for a while, and then we went back. When I got back from school, or when I shook hands with my teacher, I played on the playground for a while, for about 15 minutes. Then I realized I forgot my notebook, or my homework in the classroom. So I ran back to the classroom, and I knocked on the door since it was locked. I could see my teacher's hand there, and he wouldn't answer for some reason. It was really weird. Usually my teacher always answers the door whenever someone's there. Anyway, I knocked a couple of times, and the hand finally got up and opened up the door. I went in there, and the hand was bodiless. It's like somebody had stuck a stick up the hand and cut it off and and pretended to open up the door. I saw the rest of the body by the desk, so I went and grabbed my notebook and I got the heck out of there. I ended up going to the emergency phone when I got home and calling the cops. And I ended up calling the cops out of desperation. And they said they would go over there as soon as possible. I was back at school the next day, and I felt sick again. So I ended up having to go back to the nurse's office. When I was there was another kid sitting right on the other bed across from mine. It was kind of weird. And it was that kid that sat at table 8. I call him Table 8 Kid as a nickname because I don't know his real name. So I started talking to him, and he said he's the victim. And I was like, "What do you mean the victim?" And then he said, "I'm capable of everything that's happened." And I said, "Why? What's the purpose of it?" He said he would tell me my backstory. Now this is the perspective of Table 8 Kid. When I was around 5 years old, I'm 8 now. When I was about 5 years old, I was at an airport, and I was about to get on a plane. My parents said they needed to go walk off somewhere. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyways, they said that someone had shot them cold-blooded dead, and they never actually found the murderer. So I had to go on the plane alone to my grandma's house. I ended up killing my grandma out of revenge, and now the house is all to myself. And you could come there if you want to, but I wouldn't recommend it. Bye, kid. And then he got up and left. Now this is the perspective of the 12-year-old. I ended up going home shortly after that. The next day I walked to school, and it was a house that was all boarded up, and there was just an address with 8. All the other numbers were ripped off from the address, and it was just 8. I got a little, weirded out, and then I could see that kid up on the attic window, and he had something in his hand. It was an arrow, and he was pointing right at me with the arrow. So I ended up trying to run away, but he shot me with the arrow right in the leg. Luckily, his neighbor was just supposedly an athlete. He came over to me and he charged me into his house. And he said, "Kid, are you alright? We'll get you to your parents as soon as possible." The wound really hurt. But luckily, I survived. I ended up going to school with an injured leg. And I didn't feel any eeriness this time. I didn't feel like I was going to get sick to my stomach or anything. But when I got home that night, I finally opened up the note that the kid gave me. And it said these words that stick to me. It said, "Become with me or be my next victim."